But okay, so yeah, I think Ebony, if you're listening, I'd love to open it up to our Q&A here. There's like some wonderful questions. Let's see.
A lot of people here.
Oh, there's a lot.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Ina Mayhew is here. Ina Mayhew is a production designer on Queen Sugar, and she just did Respect.
I want to start with Caroline's question because I think it's important. She says it's relatively shallow, but important. What's the shade of lipstick you're wearing? Because you look...
It is NARS. I actually have it right here for a touch-up. So it's NARS, and it is... Now you're going to make fun of my eyesight because I have no idea. I would have to take a photo of this in order to tell you. Let's see if I can.
NARS, if you're listening, we will accept your sponsorship.
Yeah, Light My Fire.
Light My Fire by NARS.
It's cool because it's liquid, but then it goes on and it turns to matte.
It stays.
And it stays. It's pretty good, but it's not a stain. The stains are, you can never get them off. And then you got red lips for the rest of your life.
Like you drank like a Slurpee and you just didn't know what was happening.
No one wants Slurpee lips. No one wants Slurpee lips.
Awesome. There is a question here. Oh gosh, you guys, there's so many wonderful questions. We're not going to get to all of these. But here is the question that came by Betty Bima. How do you manage multiple projects or responsibilities? What's your method of prioritizing?
That's, it's whatever's on fire, whatever has to go, whatever the deadline is for a particular thing, that usually moves up. And then, never underestimate how much you can get done. There are now times when I'm like, okay, that Zoom is in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, I can write these 6 emails. Like, it's totally possible. So, it usually depends on deadline. And then if it's my own stuff, it depends on how excited I am about it. I like to, I use note cards. I have lots of, there's just shit everywhere. I recycle. So I have like 2 sides. Every piece of paper is 2-sided. And then I put my note cards down for everything that I'm working on. So if I'm not working on a show, I'll basically just jump from project to project, whatever kind of I get excited about, whatever gains steam. So yeah. So
you don't have any strategies? Gloria is asking a question here that I think could segue into that. She's asking, describe how you set a deadline for a project and keep it on schedule. Would you have any strategies for that?
I mean, I think for me, it kind of is about energy, because you could set a deadline, but if you're not feeling it, it doesn't really work. So what I like to do is I like to have a bunch of different projects out at once. So in case, even if I do have a deadline on something, I might come up with an idea for something else. And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna jump from here for like 5 minutes. And then the other thing is, sometimes I'll say, I'm gonna give myself until this time and I'm gonna write as much as I can, and then see what happens. And then, and then there's the real deadlines of, working on Clarice, and that's like a whole other thing.
Lisa is asking, what is next after Clarice? You got TV shows, a feature film a year, like what else?
I have lots of plans for lots of things that I'll do. I'll see what happens in terms of if there's somebody else who wants me to work on their show. We'll see if that'll kind of fit in. But immediately after this, sleep. So much sleep. I'm asleep for like 4 days straight. I'm not even gonna get out of bed. And like, I don't want to have to get a catheter, but like straight up, I'm just gonna sleep. Sleep is so great.
You're gonna get body pains. You're gonna have to move after a while.
I guess you're right.
4 days is not gonna, after 1 day, you'll be like, well, I need to go for a walk.
Look, so I'm a simple person. Sleep is the most decadent thing in the world. Yeah, I love sleep more than almost anything. And so even if it's a 20-minute nap. So yeah, sleep will be right after this.
Sleep is so important. I think this idea of like, you gotta hustle 24/7, you can't sleep. Oh, like that whole angst. I don't know. I just don't subscribe to it. And I don't think it's a life that is filled with joy to live like that.
No.
Davida has a great question
Thanks for
here.
your question.
She said, with so many types of producers, right? Can you speak to creative producers like yourself who wear multiple hats, i.e. writer, director? How do you bring all of your skills to the job?
Oh, they're always there. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, when I'm directing, sometimes I think like a producer in terms of, well, if we block shoot and I shoot it that way, then I could probably get that other scene in, or if there's some inserts, I can bang that out. And then the next tomorrow, that'll give me an extra hour. So we could either, maybe we can't pull a scene up in an hour, but if I fucking blast through this, 2 hours, I could pull that scene up, and then, or at the least, I could wrap like 20 minutes early, because I like to wrap early, like the first day. I like to wrap early.
Good morale.
It's great for morale. It's just like, and
Yeah.
I wrapped an hour early on Queen Sugar once, and it was like the whiz, like the garage door opened up and the sun was still out, and people was like, "Can't you feel the brand new day?" Like people were pirouetting out. They were like, "You done? We're done." And I was like, "Yeah, I got everything I need. Like, y'all killed it. Like, I'm good." So
Yeah.
yeah, but all of the things come with me all the time. So thinking about like voiceovers, thinking about you can kind of figure out like knowing when you want an actor maybe to come down on a line, because that has more, right? So I'll bring some of my voiceover things to it. I bring advertising stuff to it, because advertising is all about time. And the amount of time it takes to do this certain, if you're doing a commercial shoot, which actually is more luxurious than a TV.
Yeah.
And now that I know like what things cost and how, you know what I mean, then you use all your skills all the time. And that's not I don't think that's a bad thing.
Good answer. Rose wants to know, what's the difference between a showrunner and a producing director?
A showrunner actually runs the show. So a showrunner will work in the writer's room with all the writers. As a producer, I don't work with the writers in terms of crafting the story and figuring out where, we're going to go. Although I do work with them in terms of, saying, hey, this is what, this is an interior and that's actually an exterior. So we can't open the door and have her be right outside or have this conversation in this doorway, because that's a whole other location. So I, as a producing director, I'm responsible, I think, for letting the writers know what's actually happening on these locations and what we can do. But a showrunner runs the entire show and plans all of the episodes, and comes up with all the beats and presents to the network and the studio. And my showrunner on this show, Elizabeth Claviter, is fantastic. And we'll be in the middle of a conversation and we'll start like laughing and stuff. And then she's like, all right, I got to go pitch this, the other. And I'm like, oh yeah, right. That's right.
Right.
I got to pitch what's happening in the next episode.
And so the showrunner is effectively like who you answer to as a producing director, right? They're still kind of like above you and overseeing what you're doing. You're just like part of the army on the ground for them, it sounds like.
Yeah, but I tell them what's happening on the ground as well, and one of the things, Kat Candler was a producing director on the first season, on the second season of Queen Sugar. Nima Barnett was first season. And Ava said to me when I became producing director on third season, she was like, Kat told me everything that was going on that set. So I felt like I always knew what was happening. And I was like, okay, I got, and I would send, sometimes the emails were too long, but I'm like, here is what is happening. Here's all the bodies are buried, and here's this thing, and lunch was good today. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pull back a little bit. Maybe that's a little too much detail. Is that too much detail, Ava? But it's like, if you want that, I'm gonna give you that. It's it's, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's your show. I want you to, you told me, so I'm going to give you that,
Good question. So Jess asks the question that I think is interesting. She says, should directors have their eyes on producing or learning producing? Is that a skill set that elevates directors or vice versa?
I think so. I think, I feel like I kind of feel like, oh no, how did I disappear? Hold on, let me fix this. I don't know. I have no idea who had that. I'm on my
There you
iPad versus my laptop. Sorry about that. I feel like it's good to know a little bit of everything. And I remember being in a Q&A. I forget who the director was, but someone asked her, she asked a question, and then the director was like, oh, I don't know. I was in my hotel room, so they just called and told me that the deal was done, and I haven't, and I was kind of like, oh. And I remember thinking at that moment, like, I don't want to be that. I want to be, I don't need to be in working out the deal points, but I definitely want to, because I want to help. And also, I'm going to make the thing too. So let's tell me what's going on, So yeah, I think it's good to know about those things. For sure.
I will also just to add to that. I think as a producer who has come up on the physical side of things, I think it's important to understand as much as you can about every part of the process, because all of that informs you and makes you better, especially as a director, and speaking to your department heads and understanding the constraints of what they go through, whether it's your production designer or your line producer or your creative producers, understanding the difference, right, between what each producer and the skill set of each producer is going to give you as a director. But I believe that the people who, you don't have to be micromanaging, please don't be micromanaging, but to have a deep understanding of like, oh, I know that me making this change last minute is going to suck for you, and I apologize, like really understanding. Right. It's like, we all just want to be seen and heard, right? I think that's the same for everybody. So I always say, no matter where you want to go, get on a set, go be a PA, go work for a department. Even if you never want to be in the grip department, go understand what the grips go through, right? What their world is like on set, because everybody's got their little microcosm of what they have to do and how they have to do it. And it is a dance. And it'll just make you that much more well-rounded in every step of the process. And I think as someone who truly just loves every step of the process, like my only regret is I can't basically clone myself so I can have minions of me in all the departments all the time, understanding the realities of what they go through. So I, as their producer, can be better about understanding how, when the ship is moving and we have to all of a sudden steer left, like, oh shit, like here's the downfall that it's going to have on wardrobe, and really understanding that. And more and more every time you get better. But yeah, I wish I had that insight and could have shadowed more departments coming up, so I could learn that myself. So I think, yes, any experience you get to be on set, just say yes, do it, because it's only going to make you better every step of the way.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So on that note, there's a few people here asking, if you're a college student trying to break into the industry, advice that you may have, maybe finding a mentor, how do you navigate all of that, especially in 2021?
I mean, I think you just start making stuff. I don't think you wait for anyone. I don't think you wait for a mentor or wait for permission, as Ava would say. You have to, this is a camera. This is, you can make a film with that. Find like-minded people who believe in story, who believe in what you do, or some people who don't. Make friends with them and start to create on your own. And I think, I believe you'll start to draw things to you. I think sometimes saying, okay, I want to break into something, you sometimes go, okay, well, I can't do it until I get to that thing or I get to that person. Do it now and spend the time writing scripts now. And, Quentin Tarantino was working at the video store and he stacked all those scripts. So, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Modern Love. I think no.
I don't know.
True Romance.
Okay. I'm not
that's like 3 of the 5 that he'd had already from working at the store. So you have to keep working. You have to keep writing. You have to keep creating and figuring it out and learning. And you will draw things to you. Absolutely. But don't wait for a mentor, for sure. And look, the Sundance has a million labs. Like, I always send people to Sundance because they have a playwrights lab, they have producing lab, they have episodic TV. It's not just a film festival. They have a composers lab. So there are plenty of things that, for me, I in my mind, I was like, I'm going to get into the episodic labs, and I didn't. But I also used that deadline as a way to finish my script. So suddenly I had a complete script versus just, I had like an outline or scene by scene or note cards or whatever. So
Mhm.
all of these things, it's cumulative. All of it adds to everything else. So whatever you do, don't wait. Don't wait to make something.
Yeah. I think sometimes there's this people have this perception that you can only go create your stuff when you have money to do it. And I think
Hmm.
we can look at examples from many people who've created their own paths. Issa Rae, I mean, just
Yep.
doing it at all costs. Like, was, you know, a Awkward Black Girl the most prolific visual representation? No. Was it what she hoped for? Like visually, no. I'm sure she was comparing her work to a show that has a massive budget and a massive team, but it didn't stop her from putting herself out there and doing the best she could with what she had at the moment, and people seeing that and just being relentless. I think that's the other part of it, is like, you got to create your work, enjoy, not because you're just like, oh, I just got to get an opportunity, I just got to get a producer to say yes. Like, not because you want something that down the line, of course you want to get your stuff made, but just because it actually is what you want to be doing with your life. You know, it brings you some sense of completion to create this work, to share your work, and every time you're going to get a little better and better. But one of the questions here from Taylor is, how did you secure financing for your first two features while working at the agency?
Oh, we went to everyone we knew. I went to
Yep.
my old boss, and first of all, I wrote the business plan for that first feature film. I had never written a business plan before. I figured it out. I wrote it. I went to my old boss. My old boss gave me $10,000. I went to another boss. They gave me some money. You know, we went to everybody that we knew until we had. I think that the first film was just under $100,000 until we had the money. And then, like I said, it's doing ads for the camera company got us the camera package. All of the products that we had all this Nike gear. And that's
Mm-hmm.
because I just made a list of all of the products that I knew and I loved at that time. And then I sent them emails and I, wrote them and I called them and I said, hey, I'm making a film. It's based on it's based on the near future. It's called Black and White and Red All Over. It's the through line, which at the time I was using a strategy statement in advertising, is if we continue to kill each other, there won't be any Black people left. This is a future set in the near future. So in the future, I think your product is still going to be around. So, and I love and use your product. Can you send us some of your stuff? And I had a few conversations with a woman whose name I wish I remembered at Nike, and she sent us 2 giant boxes of shit that you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
you have power, so go for what you know, and go for also those products that you know and love, and say, hey, I love your product. Can you help me? At the time, I was eating a lot of Mike and Ike's. We all ate Mike and Ike's. That company didn't want to, and I would ask these people for money as well. That company did not want to sponsor us, did not want to, give us money, but they sent us a box of like a big, we had 24 pack of Mike and Ike's, and like craft service at that time was my mother, was people's mothers. So I'm like, this is free. Okay, here we go.
Hell
Put
yeah.
that on the table. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's whatever you can get. You figure out ways, you find ways, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the thing, is there is no one answer, one path. It's like, you have to take stock of what is within your reach based on how your path has unfolded so far, and figure out what makes sense for you. So like, obviously with you, you were smart enough to lean into the fact that you had this advertising industry contacts, years of relationships, people who believed in you, who liked you, who would say, yeah, I'll support what she's doing. I'll support this pivot. Similarly, like, I have so many great relationships with vendors, right, from doing so many commercials and films,
Right.
that if I'm doing a passion project, I go, hey, Mike at Panavision, like, I really need this camera for free. Can you hook it up? Or for like $2. And he's like, yes, because you've developed relationships where people trust you. And there's that integrity again, that you're going to do right by these products, by these contacts. You're not just trying to get one up on them. You know what I mean? You're really just trying to continue to expand yourself, but instead of doing it over here, you're going to do it over here. And I think you shouldn't discredit what you have at your fingertips. And if you start taking stock and inventory, making a list of who has supported you in the past, you'd be surprised how many people you have who can help you, if not financially, in other ways. I think that's a really, really important. It's like, elevate what works, focus on what is there instead of what isn't, and you'll start to see more and
Yes,
more of it everywhere
that's
you
right.
look. Yeah,
That's right. If you decide that you're only going to see the color red, there's a lot of red.
yeah,
It's you get to decide.
yeah.
If you decide that you can't make it, guess what?
Then you're right. You can't.
So
Yep.
decide that you can.
That's right. One question that came in here from Ina is, especially nowadays, with 2020 and iPhones and everything, do you still think that the best path for first time, young up and coming filmmakers is to do a short first and then a feature?
Ina Bina, that's Ina. Ina, I love you so much. I'm gonna call you next week. So I mean, that's a great question. I forget who it was who said to me, why would you do a short? Just do a feature. It's the same thing. I mean, I think if you could do a feature, do it,
Yeah.
but I think a short is not a bad idea. I also think doing a shorter version of that short is not a bad idea, like a sizzle, like a 3-minute, you know what I mean? Look at the gentleman who did the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and now that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was that? 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
Yeah.
So, and also there's learning every step of the way. So I think it's, what do you have the time and the energy to do and to commit to? But if your
Yes.
goal is to do a feature, see if you could do it as a feature. If it's easier to do it as a short, do it as a short. But I don't think you need to do anything these days in order to get, get somewhere else.
And here's, and on this note, a secret that whether you're prepping and doing all the work for a short or a feature, it's the same work.
It's the same work.
Either you're going to shoot for 1 day or 18 days,
That's right.
But everything that is required to get you to that starting line is honestly not much different. So if you're going to have the bandwidth to go and do a couple day shoot, then maybe find a script that you can write that you can shoot in 10, 15 days. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, and then have that experience under your belt, and then boom, next time, you have so much ammo and like a Rolodex of experiences in your tool belt that you can kind of pull out and move forward. So I would say that, we are the only people getting in our own ways of creating work. So just go for it, just do it. There's no time like the present. So
absolutely.
And on that note, I want to thank you. We are out of time. It is 12:30. Thank you to everybody who participated, who spent this hour and a half with us, hearing me blabber on. I'm going to do a quick plug. If you don't, please subscribe to my podcast. It's angleonproducers.com. You can find the show. It's on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your pods. And then I also upload the entire conversation to YouTube, to my YouTube channel. And I'm you can pretty much Google me, you can find me, but I'm at Carolina Gropa in every facet of the social media beast that it is. Love-hate relationship there. And thank you. And I'll let DeMane say goodbye, and then Ebony will take us out.
Oh, thanks so much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the work you've done. Thank Women in Film for the work that they do. Yes. Thank you to Ava DuVernay fans, to Lizzie and Lauren and Timothy and everyone who logged on. Jess Carson, what's up? I owe you a call. Really appreciate you coming and spending the time. I want to say something that my friend Susan X. Jane, incredible writer, and also she used to teach race and media literacy. Now she does that for corporations. Said, which is, it's a flaw that we need to see people die violently to be moved. We could be moved right now, and we can save people right now, and we can save ourselves. Your dollars have power, you have power. In this situation with everything that is going on, please wear a mask. And please, most of all, choose the positive thought. It is there, you can find it. And if you find it, it can grow. And then there's no telling what you have the power to do. So
I love that.
Thanks for coming.
Well, that was amazing. I sat here in my pew at the First Church of WIF, and I felt that altar call several times.
Oh my God. We need some gospel music.
Joy I thought those were going to be, you know, the things that I took with me. And then that ending, wow, that was powerful. You know, that it is a myth that it takes violence to move us. That is so powerful. DeMane, this was absolutely amazing. Catalina, thank you for having a great conversation with DeMane. It was wonderful to listen to two producers talk about their different creative processes and the things that keep them alive creatively, professionally, but just in such a real, authentic way. I can't thank you enough for this, particularly because now people are emailing me to say, this was fantastic, good job programming this. And so I'm getting all the shine. Happened. I'm not the person who made it happen. Thank you to Jess Carson, who is the person who encouraged me to reach out to DeMane's team. Because I was like, I really want to talk to DeMane. I'm a little nervous. She's like, girl, just make that ask. And then Lee, really made it happen. So thank you to Jess and to Lee for that.
Thank you, Lee Wallman.
Yes. Thank you to everyone for being here. If you are someone who got fired up by this conversation, you want to learn more about what it takes to be a producer, Women in Film's Emerging Producer Program, the applications are now open. Just go to WIF.org. You can find out more about this amazing program. Applications are open until, I believe, February 8th, but don't wait, you got fired up on a Sunday, you got some time, do it, make that change. So thank you all again for being here. Thank you, Catalina. Thank you to DeMane. And we will see you at our next Women in Film event. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Thank you
Bye,
all.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Thank you so much.